Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. Today we are going to talk about tutorials. Well, Elden Ring's tutorial to be specific. We will talk about whether or not Elden Ring even needs a tutorial. We will talk about what to put in a tutorial and what to leave out. Then we will talk about what or how we can implement the tutorial in the game and how we can improve the current tutorial system. Let's just start with the question, do we even need a tutorial in Elden Ring? And the short answer is yes. I think we do need a tutorial in Elden Ring. And the long answer is, let's just imagine you've never played Elden Ring before, but you've played the previous Souls titles, like Dark Souls 3, 2, 1, maybe Demon's Souls, maybe Bloodborne, even Sekiro, I guess. And you're now playing Elden Ring for the first time. I guess everyone can go back to the first Elden Ring memories we all had, and you went through the, what's it called, Cave of Knowledge or something like this, the tutorial basically, the tutorial area. And, well, you know most of the control scheme, right? You know how to walk, you know how to use the camera, you know how to attack, and all of that stuff. But then there are new mechanics like jumping. Well, jumping is fairly easy to figure out, right? You just try out every button on your controller and all of a sudden your character jumps. How nice. Maybe you'll figure out how to attack jump, right? Like cue an attack after a jump. Fairly easy to find out yourself, right? But then there are mechanics that are like a little bit more obscure. For example, the... what is it called? I don't even know how it's called. The one where you block an attack and then you do a heavy attack afterwards. This fairly new move. To be honest, I rarely use this one, but it's quite a good move, not gonna lie. Or how you use the pouch, for example, right? You have to hold down a button and then you're using the... I think it's called a D-pad, right? Then you use the D-pad to choose which item to use here. Or what happened to me was I couldn't figure out how to two-hand my weapon because I was skipping the tutorial. Like, the messages were plopping up, but instead of reading them I was like, no, I don't want to read, I want to play the game, right? So I was just skipping them, I didn't even read a single word. And for the first like 30 minutes or so, I didn't know that you can two-hand weapons, because for some reason, for some stupid reason, I thought, if they got rid of the two-handing stuff, well, that's kind of sad. Because now the button is something else, jump or something, I don't know. I remapped my controller, so I think my jump button is now the Y/triangle. Because, I don't know, I don't like X or A having, or being the jump button, I don't like that. So I switched them around, but I didn't know that for the first 30 minutes or so, until I accidentally discovered it, I guess. And, well, these hidden mechanics, so to speak, or mechanics that you don't know yet because they're new to you, whether or not you've played the previous titles before or you're brand new to the game, such mechanics need an explanation, because otherwise why even have them in the game? I mean, it's kind of fair to not tell the player that you need to press A or X to do specific stuff, right? To talk to an NPC. Actually, well, that's a tutorial in and out of itself, right? Because every time you approach something, it tells you press A or press X to grab item or to talk to NPC or to climb ladder. And, well, what do I mean by that is it's frustrating for someone who doesn't know the mechanic to find them out by themselves. So, and I mean, mechanics are nothing, like, they're essential to play the game, so you should give the player the essentials to play the game. That's what I mean by that. Now, what do we put in a tutorial and what to leave out. Because, well, I've already said core mechanics, character controls, core gameplay mechanics like jumping or the two-ending stuff and stuff like this, right? The basics are what you need to put into your tutorial, like how to control your character, how to attack, how to do certain things. You can crouch now and all of that stuff, how to aim at an enemy, how to use certain items. For example, a bow, it's kind of, right, you can lock onto the enemy and shoot the bow this way, or you can zoom in, you can do the precision firing, or how do they call it in here? Let's have a look. Where is the bow? Let's have a look at the pictures here. There we have the bow. Equip a bow to fire arrows. You can equip up to 2 types of arrow. Very nice, that says it right here. And then when wielding a bow with 2 hands, hold LB for precision aiming. Ooh. Use R, or the right stick, to adjust your aim. Pretty good. Maybe you didn't know that you can shoot the bow without aiming, or without locking on, right? Now you know. Pretty good. So, but where it goes too far is like, so now we are at the section where we talk about what not to put in a tutorial. And these are things like very, very basic controls, like what the menu is for example. Like you don't want, let's imagine you open a menu for the first time and then it tells you to the right where it says gestures, there are gestures. In the pouch you can put in items. Well, you're going to figure that out pretty easily, right? You even have the buttons, like, is it called a legend in English? Like the things where it tells you what buttons you can use here. For example, here it says A for OK, B for bag, X for switch display. Is it called a legend in English? I don't know. In German it's called a Legende, so let me call it legend, I don't know. So you have basically your quote-unquote tutorial in the game. You even have a help button, right? You can press the help button and then you can choose what explanation you want. You can even view your controls. Like, it says that, like, this is something that is a bit much, I guess, because, well, you know how to select. Well, I guess that's quite well made, right? You see the button help, you don't know how to navigate this menu for some reason. You don't know that you can use the D-pad to... Oops, and I just stood up. You don't know that you can use your D-pad to navigate, and then you press help and you view controls is the first thing you see, which is very nice. These minor things are something you, as a developer, you probably don't really think about once you only think about these things once you're at the detailing part, I think. That's what I feel like, because you don't know how to navigate, and let me quickly sit down again. You don't know how to navigate the menu, but for some reason if you press the menu button and you press A to choose, and then you press help, and view control is the first thing you see. This is pretty nice, because you don't know how to navigate right now, right? You don't know how to use the D-pad, and then you click here and, oh, you can use the D-pad to select things. That's nice. But these are the things that you don't need to implement in a tutorial, because, well, why would you have a tutorial that tells you how to use or how to navigate a menu if the quote-unquote tutorial is already always visible in the menu, right? You don't need to tell the player that, like, twice. And of course, what also not to put in your tutorial is like first of all, menu stuff, as we talked about, and then lore mechanics, like, technically, I guess it's in a game, but let's have a look if it's in a game. Because I've seen, my example was like, what spirit tuning is, but I think there might be, this mechanic might be, well, technically it's a mechanic, but there are quite a few things where, well, containers is a good thing, but where is it? Isn't there spirits there? Let's see what they tell us about spirits. Actually, that's kind of good. You can only summon... No, okay. Then my example is pretty good here. Because spirit tuning, right? First time approaching Roderica, it tells you about the spirits, but it's... I hope it's not telling you about the spirit tuning, because these things, like the spirit tuning mechanic, you can... I think it's a bit hard to imagine that, but... first of all, you get how it works, you get it from the dialogue with the NPC. So you don't need an extra tutorial telling you how to use it, right? And then the menu with the NPC, like when you're in the upgrading menu at Roderica, Roderica's spirit upgrading menu thing, it tells you what you need as materials. So something like this shouldn't get a tutorial, or what's luckily not a tutorial is like that if we have a look at the map, what different symbols mean. Like you don't need to know that this specific thing here is an icon for a hero's grave, right? These obvious things, these things that are quite obvious and are sometimes even explained in the menu legend thingies and whatnot. These are the things that you don't need to implement in your tutorial. Now let's talk about how to implement things in your tutorial, right? What kind of tutorial do you want to make? Because in this game we have a completely different tutorial than in previous Souls titles. And with tutorial I mean, what they have in common is that they both have a tutorial area, or both, all of them. They have a tutorial area where you learn your control scheme, where you have a few enemies that are fairly easy to destroy. Well, and what they have in common, they have a boss fight at the end, and most of the time a fairly hard boss fight, but we have a specific area for the tutorial. And then in previous games they had the messages telling you how to use your character, how to control your character. And this is fairly shallow because you can only write so much in your message. I guess developers can write in the message whatever they want, but then it's only there on the ground. What they did in this game is a bit more engaging, I think. When you use a mechanic for the first time, it stops the game. Like, the game is literally halting. Like, you're opening a pause menu or something. And you can read these things here. About Guidance of Grace, for example, right? It tells you what it says here. Grace exists to guide the tarnished and lead them along the proper path, blah blah blah, who cares? It tells you something, right? It tells you about specific mechanics when you first, or here, the round table hold, first thing, right? It's your hub. You can reach it by doing this and that. It's halting the game, and it gives you a window in the middle of the screen where it tells you how something works. Right? That's how it works in this game. And then luckily they also have the info thing in your inventory where you can refresh your memories, so to speak, or if you've skipped them, you can find them back here again to reread them, to refresh your memory, to for the first time read them, I guess. Because, well, and I think this tutorial is better than previous games, but also worse. And now we're going to the section where we talk about how to improve this system, the current system. But for that, what I really like about the Dark Souls tutorials, or the tutorial messages, the control scheme messages, is that they're implemented in the game. Like in the game world, they're tied to the lore, or they're immersive, or whatever. Even though it's, I don't think, immersive to tell the player character how they can control themselves, which is in and out of itself a fourth wall break, but it's a bit more immersive than the system they have in this game. This is what I like, that the messages, they use a in-game mechanic that the player can use to give the player certain informations. And they're even using this, well, in this game they're also using messages from NPCs, but they're not using the messages to teach, right? They're not writing the tutorial messages on the ground. Because, well, tutorial messages, they have the negative side of they're only in this one location, and, well, they can only tell you so much, right? There is not a picture with an animation inside or something like this, right? It's just plain text. What I like about the tutorial in Elden Ring is that they have a box where there is text inside, where there are the buttons inside, pictured buttons. If I go back to this thing here, well, we don't have the same layout in this menu, but for the first time, well, when the tutorial pops up, then it tells you the buttons in a different style, but plus the picture, which is very nice. And now the mechanic that I don't like is that the text box is forcing itself in the middle of the screen of the player. And this is a mechanic that I really find... what's the term for that? I'm getting angry at something like this, right? Have you played... what's it called? Monster Hunter, the new Monster Hunter thingy, the one for the Switch. And I guess the ones for PC as well. I've only played World, and now... what's it called? I really can't remember. The Switch one, right? The first time I was playing this thing, it felt like every 2 seconds the game would halt, or I couldn't control my character anymore, and the game would shove information in my face, like, this is the hut, this tells you this, right? I don't need to know what the red bar means. I will find out myself. Right, the red bar, or the green bar, whatever. This is my HP bar, this is my FP bar. I don't need to know what the hut means. I mean, it's fairly clear. Maybe not to a person who had like no experience with video games before, but like, I know what a health bar is. I know what ammunition is. I know. Stop shoving this information in my face, right? And this is something that I find not so nice in this game as well, because it shoves the information in your face. What I rather like, or what I would like to have in this game, is like a info box. When I find out, or when I'm interacting with a new mechanic, for example, let's pick out something. Sides of Grace here. When I find the Sides of Grace, right? I don't know, maybe when I interact with the map, instead of shoving the information in my face, I would like to see information symbol or something like this on the right or the left side, somewhere on the side of the screen, where it tells me press this button to show tutorial or to show information or whatever. I don't care how you word it, right? And then I press this button and then I'm getting the information shoved in my face. I've pressed the button to get the information and now I'm receiving the information and not like, here you go, read it, right? And this is something that many games do wrong in my opinion. Maybe you like it, maybe you like that the game is pausing and all of a sudden you're getting this information. I get it that it's sometimes necessary or somewhat necessary. For example, you see the enemy in front of you, right? Then you don't want to just run in circles and read the information while you're getting chased by this enemy. But I would like to have the opportunity to read the tutorial message, but I don't like the fact that the tutorial message is shoved in my face so that I have to click it away or that I have to read it. And well, that's really the only thing that I can think of how to improve the current system, because I really like the current system. I like that you can turn it on and off in the menu. Over here, show tutorials. Enable, disable, very easy. I like that you can refresh your memory, that you have your tutorial messages in your inventory once you found them, so that it's not a spoiler when you haven't interacted with one of these things and you haven't seen them. I don't like when you're getting spoiled by... Oh, when you're getting spoilers, is it called spoiled? When you're getting spoilers by reading certain information. And this is something that I don't like about the current map system right here. And I guess I can make a video about the map as well, but maybe I shouldn't. But things like these, for example, I haven't found this NPC yet. Why is it telling me that the NPC is here? This kind of takes away the exploration aspect of the game, I think, and could have been better. But, well, these are my thoughts to the current tutorial in the game. Let me know what you think about the tutorial in this game, maybe the tutorials in previous games. Maybe you like them more than this one, maybe you don't like them. They definitely both have their pros and cons. If there is a specific thing about this game that you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. And I guess that's it from me. Goodbye.